So, you want to know the secret. How do you get off that bench and into the starting lineup? It's the question every single athlete asks. And listen, it's not just about who's got the most raw talent. It's about strategy, it's about understanding the game on a deeper level, and yeah, a whole lot of smart work. And look, if you're knee-deep in your BTech sport course, that smart work, it starts right now. In this explainer, we are going to break down exactly what you need to do to absolutely nail your practical performance unit.
So think of this as your personal game plan.
Yep, this is your playbook to completely crush Unit 7. All right, welcome to Subject Simplified. Today, we are going on the ultimate athlete's journey together. We're going to cover the 4 massive learning aims you've got to master. First, knowing the rules inside and out. Then, building up your skills. After that, performing when the pressure's on. And finally, the most important part, reviewing your game so you can actually improve. Okay, the warm-up is officially over. Let's get into it. All right, first things first, let's talk fundamentals. Look, before you can even think about being a star player, you have to master the rulebook. It's non-negotiable. This is what Learning Aim A is all about. And I'm serious here. Have you ever really stopped to think about why knowing something like the offside rule is just as critical as scoring the winning goal? Well, it's because one moment of brilliance, one amazing play, can be completely canceled out if you don't get the basic framework you're operating in. Simple as that. So, where do these rules even come from? Well, they're set by what we call national governing bodies, or NGBs for short. You know these guys. They're the big dogs, like FIFA for football, the IRB for rugby. They're the ones who write the official laws of the game. And this is super important. Whatever sport you're focusing on, you have to make sure it has a recognized NGB. Okay, and check this out because this is where it gets really interesting. There are actually 2 types of rules you need to know about. First, you've got the written rules, the official stuff that's in the book. But then, and this is just as important, you have the unwritten rules. This is all about sportsmanship, ethics, respecting your opponent. Like when a player goes down injured and the other team kicks the ball out of play? That's not written down anywhere, but it's a huge part of the game's culture. You need to master both to really perform at a high level. So who's in charge of enforcing all this? The officials, of course. Honestly, just think of them as the one person in your group project who actually read the instructions and knows what's going on. You've got the ref, who's keeping the players in check, the timekeeper watching the clock. Every single one of them has a vital job to make sure the game is fair and runs smoothly. Okay, so you've got the rules down. Awesome. Now we can build on that foundation. It's time to start putting together your personal arsenal of skills, techniques, and tactics. Let's dive into Learning Aim B. So let me ask you this. What's the real difference between, say, just kicking a ball against a wall and executing one of those perfect, unstoppable volleys that smashes into the top corner? It all comes down to the technical details. And in your BTech course, you'll hear this called the technical demands of a sport. And what that really means is it's not just about what you're doing, it's all about how you do it. It's that magic combination of the skill itself and the perfect technique that gets you real results. Now, we can actually break skills down into 3 main categories. First up, you've got discrete skills. These are short, sharp actions with a clear beginning and end, like a single golf swing. Then you've got serial skills, which is basically stringing a bunch of those discrete skills together, like in a gymnastics routine. And finally, there are continuous skills, the ones that just kind of keep going with no obvious start or finish, like running or cycling. And this is a perfect example of a discrete skill in action. A football volley, it's just one single explosive movement. It's over in a flash. But the perfect execution of that one tiny moment, man, that can change the outcome of the entire game. But listen, having amazing individual skills is only half the battle. Seriously, tactics? That's the secret sauce that turns those skills into a winning strategy. And it really boils down to 3 things: making the right decisions at the right time, communicating clearly with your teammates, and being smart enough to create space and then exploit it. All right, you've mastered the rules. You've been building your skills. Now it's showtime. It's time to take everything you've learned and put it into practice when it really counts. Welcome to Learning Aim C. And this is maybe the biggest question for any athlete, right? How do you take a skill that you can do perfectly in practice over and over again and make it happen when the floodlights are on, the crowd is screaming, and the pressure is just massive? Well, the journey from the training ground to game day is a three-step process. You've got to start with isolated practice. That's where it's just you and the skill, no pressure, no defenders, nothing. Then you ramp it up with conditioned practice, maybe adding in some small-sided games. And finally, you throw yourself into the deep end, a full-blown competitive situation.
Here's a great way to think about it. Isolated practice is like being in an empty gym at midnight, just shooting free throws. There's nobody watching, no defenders trying to block you, zero pressure. It is all about one thing: perfecting your form and building that crucial muscle memory.
And this is where you really have to geek out on the details. Let's take something like a penalty kick. For your assessment, you can't just say, I kicked the ball. No way. You need to break it down into every single tiny component. Where's your head looking? How is your body balanced? Where do you plant your non-kicking foot? What part of your foot connects with the ball? Mastering every single one of those little pieces is the key to success.
Okay, the game's over, but the work is definitely not done. In fact, maybe the most critical phase is about to begin, the post-game breakdown. This brings us to our final section, learning aim D, review and improve. The final whistle blows. Doesn't matter if you won, lost, or drew, what happens now? Because if you seriously want to get better, you can't just shrug your shoulders, walk off the pitch, and forget everything that just happened. Nope, it is time to analyze. And a brilliant tool for this is doing a personal SWOT analysis. It sounds corporate, but it's super effective. You look at your internal stuff, your strengths and your weaknesses. Then you look at the external stuff, the opportunities out there and the threats you need to watch out for. So, for example, a strength might be your lightning speed, but a weakness is that your left foot pass is, well, pretty weak. An opportunity could be a new drill your coach showed you, and a threat could be that ridiculously fast winger you're up against next week. See? It gives you a complete 360-degree picture of your game. Okay, so once you've done your analysis, you need a plan. And the absolute best way to do that is by setting SMART goals. Look, just saying, I want to get better at shooting is useless. It's not a plan. A SMART goal, on the other hand, is powerful. It's specific. I will improve my free throw accuracy. It's measurable. I'll get my success rate up from 60% to 75%. It's achievable and realistic. I'll do this by shooting 50 extra free throws after practice. And it's time-bound. I'll hit this target in 4 weeks. See the difference? That's not a wish anymore. That's a concrete plan of attack. And there it is, the whole journey. From mastering the rulebook, to building your skills, to performing when it counts, and finally to that all-important review. That right there is the complete athlete's journey. It's your roadmap to peak performance, and the key to absolutely acing Unit 7.
So, I'm going to leave you with a challenge. What's the one skill, just pick one, that you're going to apply that SMART framework to this week? Don't just nod along, actually think about it, because that's where real improvement starts. Hey, if this explainer helped simplify things for you and gave you a solid game plan for your coursework, do us a massive favor and hit that like button. And make sure you subscribe to the Subject Simplified channel for more content just like this, designed to help you smash your studies. Thanks for tuning in.